sight, Richard Jefferson in his shiny shoes.
Yep.
Kendrick Perkins, thank you for being here. Let's get to the coaching carousel.
Yeah,
Come on, put that up out there.
Big round blueberry.
I look good, though.
Over the weekend, the Blazers hired Chauncey Billups as their head coach. He was one of the names previously endorsed by Damian Lillard, of course. Now, there was some backlash online for Lillard. Dame said he was not aware of previous allegations against Chauncey Billups, which, by the way, no charges were ever brought. Important to keep saying that. Yesterday, Yahoo Sports reported that the backlash to Lillard, along with his concerns of whether a title team can be built in Portland, are factors that could lead him to ask out eventually. Richard, that is a lot. How can the Blazers keep Dame happy?
Well, one, I want to talk about the backlash. Like, one, Dame gets asked a question. These are names that were out in the coaching search. Like, Dame,
Preach.
like, you are too good to allow. I saw one of his interactions and that he like quote tweeted the person is a Raptors fan. Don't let somebody that's not in your house dictate what goes on in your house, right? And so from that standpoint, you should really just focus in on what's going on within the Portland Trailblazer community. In my opinion, the next step about it is, what does he think about this hire, right? If you're worried about the backlash, that's one thing. If you're worried about can they build a championship contender, now we're talking about real tangible stuff. And I think they have the talent. I think they have the fan base. I think they have all the things necessary. They're just one or two pieces away, and I think that's what they need to focus on.
Well, RJ, I disagree with you on one point because everybody handles things differently,
Agreed.
right? So you may keep quiet. Dame is a guy that's outspoken, right? He has albums that he's dropped. We watched him go back and forth with Shaquille O'Neal on a rap battle. So Dame is not going to hold back. You come at Dame, he's going to come at you. Now, you're right. The organization asked him who he wanted, and he put two names out there, J. Kidd and Chauncey Billups. Here's the thing. I do think they can get better. I do think that they can make Dame happy for the simple fact that a new voice in the locker room changes everything. We just witnessed that with the Atlanta Hawks. They got rid of Coach Lloyd. All of a sudden, Coach Nate McMillan comes in.
Clippers.
The Clippers. The Hawks start playing completely different. Trae Young started playing completely different. Agenda-free basketball. You need someone like Chauncey that's going to be able to hold these guys accountable on the defensive side of things. Remember, the Portland Trailblazers couldn't guard a caged dog. They ranked close to dead last defensively. They did. They never struggled with scoring. They just couldn't guard anybody. So you bring Chauncey in there. What can you tell Chauncey if he holds somebody accountable? He could go toe-to-toe with Dame.
Yeah.
Right? He could go toe-to-toe with CJ. He could get the best out of Big Nurkic and say, don't ask for the ball on the block. Do your job. Rebound, block shots, roll to the basket.
Well, I agree. I completely agree. I just, when I was more referencing not Dame to not be outspoken, but it's just like, you don't let people worry. Do I ever give you advice of what's going on inside your home if you didn't ask me? No, exactly. So that's all I'm saying.
It's not our home, RJ.
It is, but that is his. But that is his home. When you're dealing with outrage on Twitter, which we all know about, is a very slippery slope. I don't want to hear it from a Raptors fan that like this. And so like, that was my thing about the outrage. Sometimes we got to take that with a grain of salt.
I do think that coaching can really change a roster, even quote the same roster. The Atlanta Hawks are a fantastic example. This is a team that wasn't even in playoff bracket contention months into the regular season, and then suddenly they're in the Eastern Conference Finals. And you can see, too, it kind of puts the lie to, if that guy was on someone's staff, because, again, the Clippers and Hawks are great examples that there can be a coaching shift even when someone's on that staff. Chauncey Billups, to me, is a Hall of Famer. I think he should be in the Hall.
Preach.
I watched that man up close win a Finals MVP. He is a leader. He is someone that I watch now on the Clippers. He has changed the game of several players. He has been teaching Paul George to play point guard. I think that there are so many things that Chauncey is going to bring to the table that Dame specifically and that whole team in general will really, really respond to. I'm excited to see what happens here.
It's gonna be fun.
I do think they're going to need some help from the front office, and I'm curious to see what the front office does for them, because the roster does need some upgrading, and we'll see if they can, work the magic there. We'll have to find out. Carousel continues to spin, though. It's not just Portland, because this time we're ending up in Orlando. The Athletic reporting former Magic guard and current Memphis Tigers head coach Penny Hardaway is, quote, a serious candidate for the job. Penny played 6 seasons in Orlando, was an all-star in 4 of them. Perk Is Penny a good potential fit in Orlando?
Yes, I believe he is. And just watching his whole coaching, like from where he started from in high school, right? Winning championships in Memphis, to going to the University of Memphis and help building that program back up. I think the way that the direction that the Orlando Magic is going in with that young core, you need a young guy, a young coach that played the game at a high level that these guys could relate to. That's all that matters now, especially a guy like Penny Hardaway. Bring back Lil Penny, whatever the case may be. But with that young nucleus, they need a voice like Penny Hardaway.
I couldn't agree more. You've seen a lot of names bounced around. You see a lot of names bounced around with them, whether it's Jamal Mosley, who's the assistant coach in Dallas, Penny Hardaway, who I really like. One of the reasons why I like Penny is because when we put that list up of all of the features of all of, like Indiana, Dallas, like all of the jobs, Orlando had 2 first-round picks.
Yeah, I know.
So I'm not saying that they don't have 10. No, but I'm saying not that we're looking like, here we go.
They've got Bradley Beal. They've got Zion. They've got
2 top 10 picks. The point being is that you need a coach that's going to come in and be like, hey, we're going to build. We're going to develop. But great job on the graphic. Whoever pulled that up, because I didn't tell him I was going to say it.
Michael
so that was
Schwartz,
great. Michael,
by the way,
the Schwartz is with you. Like, that is outstanding.
And then director Kathy knew when to put it in there.
All time. But my point is that when you have a young franchise that is going through a rebuild, they got rid of Vucevic, so they're starting kind of from scratch with some young talent. Bring in a coach that can learn for 3-4 years, that can grow with this group. And I think Penny Hardaway is a great name because he will build excitement. Even if your team's not great, like, there's a nostalgia. Nostalgia is very strong for Penny Hardaway and Shaq and what they did.
In layman's terms, what RJ is saying, since he always want to go back to Arizona, is that he's going to give the organization swag to the younger generation. God, man,
I know.
You got to touch everybody.
I know that when the coaching search was happening in Arizona,
yeah, that was that's a fair. I did not discuss that. I'm happy with our hire.
There you go. Coming up, we're going to talk about Trae Young because he is indeed questionable for Game 4 with a bone.
The Blazers announcing the hire of Chauncey Billups. Now, according to sources of our Adrian Wojnarowski, the deal is for 5 years with the former LA Clippers assistant that includes a team option on the last season. Now, Billups had an illustrious career in the NBA, winning the 2004 NBA title with the Pistons in the Finals MVP award. A 5-time All-Star, he's the only player with a winning record against Michael Jordan, Kobe, and also LeBron. Now, along with Billups' hire, Jason Kidd was named the head coach of the Mavericks last Thursday. Now, both have amazing resumes. However, off-court issues have led to questions surrounding their hires. In 2001, Kidd was arrested for suspicion of hitting his wife and pleaded guilty to spousal abuse. Then in 2012, he also pleaded guilty to a DUI. Billups, on the other hand, settled a civil case in 1997 when a woman alleged that he and his former teammate Ron Mercer raped her. Criminal charges were never filed, but according to police reports, a rape kit examination displayed injuries consistent with sexual assault. The Blazers have looked into the matter again before hiring Billups, and they were able to not really draw up anything new. But Perk, you got to look at all of these factors. Are these hires a bad look for the league, would you say?
No, it's not. You know what's a bad look in the NBA to be writing these articles at this time. That's what's a bad look. Because guess what? When Jason Kidd and Chauncey Billups, when they were the product and they were put on the shelves and they were selling out and they were making money and they were around here delivering championships and making all-star games and selling out jerseys and signing autographs, everything was all fine and dandy when you were the product. Now all of a sudden, when 2 African Americans have learned from their mistakes, and when I'm talking about Jason Kidd, he learned from his mistakes. He had 2 head coaching hires since then. He was an assistant coach with the Los Angeles Lakers, won the championship. Nothing was said. This man has changed his life. Rick Carlisle endorsed him. Dirk Nowitzki endorsed him. Not a word was said. And when you look at what Chauncey Billups has done, all right, finished his a hell of a career, assistant under Ty Lue, worked on our network at ESPN and was a hell of a commentator, did a hell of a job. Should have been a GM in my eyes instead of being a coach because he's that great of evaluating talent. That's how special he is to the game. But soon as African Americans can take that leap and get in place of power, this is when it all starts to come out. This is when these writers want to start bringing up people past, like everyone don't have a damn past. I'm pretty sure we all have something that we done when we were younger that we wouldn't do again. Now, I get it. If with Jason Kidd's situation, if he was a repeated offender, and it was something that he was doing time and time again, okay, I can see that. But this man has grown from that. Chauncey Billups wasn't accused of anything, no criminal charges. Let it go. Let these people get their jobs that they deserve and move on.
Yeah, I think that it's a different question of whether they should get the jobs or if it's a bad look. Like, I do think it's a bad look because particularly in Chauncey's cases, he was up against Becky Hammon, and it's a particularly bad look for the NBA, which is considered the most progressive major sports league that we have, at least major men's sports league that we have in this country. And for them to, and for two hires of women, of guys who have been accused of mistreating women or sexually assaulting or hitting women, for them to get hired and Becky Hammon not to get hired, I don't see how we can argue that it's not a good look. And that doesn't mean that these guys never deserve to work again or that they need to continue paying a price for something they've been accused of or pled guilty to in Jason Kidd's case years ago. Doesn't mean that they can never rebound from that, but we do have to acknowledge it. And it's a story that whether it comes out now or comes out later or came out earlier, it's a story that's not going to go away. Like, it's going to stick with these guys for their entire careers. And I think I had a group text about this situation with a couple friends of mine over the week, and one of the things that came out of that I think was important and we should highlight is that the country doesn't really, and in Chauncey's case specifically, like our country, the judicial system hasn't figured out how to properly deal with sexual assault. And for the NBA, for us to expect the NBA to figure out how to do it is asking a lot. And we can go back to the previous president was accused of many different sexual assault incidents, and that didn't disqualify him from getting that job. So I'm not saying that that's the bar that we have to reach necessarily, but I am saying that I understand when guys or when anybody commits a crime or is accused of a crime, like there should be a process that we go through, which includes finding out or determining whether they are guilty or innocent. And then it also includes some punishment. And then when you come back from that punishment, then you are allowed to re-enter society and you're allowed to work again. It doesn't mean that you should be the head coach of a team or general manager of a team. And it doesn't mean that you shouldn't be. But all those things need to take place. And I don't think that's a failing of the NBA. That's a failing of our judicial system more than anything else. But it does, I mean, to get back to the original question, it does look bad today to have that as one of the headlines.
Yeah, but Dominique, look, the situation that happened with Chauncey Billups happened when this man was 19 years old. That was almost 30 years ago. And then he wasn't found guilty. It wasn't like he had you could go Google his criminal record and it's on there. Nothing happened, okay, at the end of the day. But you know what's even more disrespectful when we talk about being disrespectful to Becky Hammon, the women of the world? You know what's more disrespectful is that people are putting this out about Chauncey Billups when he have a wife and 3 daughters. How about the disrespectful stuff in that when people are writing these articles about him that is false because he was never accused in the first damn place? That's disrespectful.
Well, yeah, I'm with you. I don't appreciate, I'm sure Chauncey doesn't appreciate it, but like the facts are the facts. Like the accusations were there. They brought up the accusations. And I don't think that is disrespectful. I didn't use the word disrespectful. Like, I don't think it's disrespectful to Becky Hammon or disrespectful to anybody. I just think it's a bad look. And whether it's right or wrong doesn't matter. It's about the optics of the situation. The question is, does it look good or does it look bad? It looks bad for a league that prides itself on being progressive to have a woman in the running for the job, whether she deserved it or not. I'm sure she deserves to be a head coach at some point. It looks bad to deny a woman a job and then hire 2 men who are being accused of violent acts against women. Like, it looks bad. It doesn't mean that. Go ahead, Perk.
But Foxworth, this is what I'm telling you, man. Listen, at the end of the day, J. Kidd had 2 jobs. He was with the Nets, he was with the Bucks, he got hired on with the Lakers. Nobody said a damn word. And at the end of the day, it's not about men or women when you're talking about hiring for coaching. It's who's better fit for the job, who the people want, who the coaches want, who the organization want. Damian Lillard said for the Portland Trail Blazers, when asked, he wanted either Jason Kidd or Chauncey Billups.
That's fine. I'm not disagreeing with any of that. And I like Chauncey Billups. I know him a little bit personally from Denver, and I liked him, but I don't know him well enough to know whether these are real or fake. But you brought up at the beginning of this how unfair it is, in part because they are black men. So I think you also understand that sometimes just because somebody wants to hire someone doesn't mean that they deserve the job. It's not an argument against Becky or against either of these guys or an argument for Becky Hammon, but just because somebody as a football player and someone who's been in the NFL, there's lots of black coaches who deserve to get hired. They didn't get the job because we fell back and we weren't critical of them. It's a whole nother conversation, but I'm with you on the point that you're making. Like, it's uncomfortable for all of us, and it is a bad look for the league.
Yeah, I actually have to agree with Dominique. I do think it's a bad look for the league. I think as far as the optics are concerned, I mean, I know that they did re-delve into that investigation and, tried to figure out what they could, didn't find anything else, and decided that at the end of the day it was more important to hire Chauncey as their head coach than anything else. So they went with that decision. But it also makes me wonder how serious they actually were about hiring Becky Hammon, because you talk about optics. Sometimes you have to wonder if teams really just say Becky's a finalist just for the fact that, this would make us look good to show that we're actually considering hiring a woman as our head coach. Were they actually really? I have no idea, but this makes me question that and really, truly wonder about it. So, guys, good discussion. We have to move on now, but we have a lot more to get